All right, great. Welcome. I am back this week after my travels. Give this like 30 seconds and we will jump right in. But I am back from crop conference last week. Feeling good, feeling great. Busy week this week. Got a boot camp kicking off today, actually. So, boot camp side hustle. But in the meantime, let's jump right in. Cool. So today we're going to be talking about 2 tips to massively boost your productivity. This is Coach Scotty.D.Russell, and in today's video, I'm going to be dishing out those 2 killer tips I use to determine what drives the most success within my creative pursuits, how I am able to dismiss distractions and useless busy work, which hinders productivity, as well as leveraging these 2 tips to knock shiitake mushrooms out with my finite time. Knock out a lot of stuff within my finite time. Okay. Work on my swearing on YouTube so I don't get docked via the algorithm. But the goals with these 2 tips today is for you to gain clarity on 2 questions. Working with a lot of 2s today. So I'm hoping you walk away understanding what are you focused on that's distracting you from gaining traction, as well as what are you focused on that's moving your creative pursuits forward. Yeah. That's what I want you to walk away with. So here's a little quote that rocked me a while back, and it really, really, really got me thinking. It's from the homeboy Henry David Thoreau, and he said, "It's not enough to be busy. So are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about?" And this really got me thinking. Man, I always tell people, man, I'm so busy. I can't do this. I'm too busy. I wish I could do this. I just don't have enough time in the day. And I was like, well, how are people who have similar lives like me as a dad or a past day job, whatever, yet they seem to be doing everything that they want to do and really growing and thriving? And too many people right now that I hear from are just too busy, are doing too much of the wrong things, crushing any measurable growth or progress, but they're too close to it. They're so busy, they don't have enough silence to even truly see, like, wow, is this something I should or shouldn't be doing? That was me. And it tends to be still me at times, but I'm far from perfect. But at the same time, I've been able to gain a lot of traction year by year with my side hustle previous years back. And now with my current dream hustle, doing my thing self-employed, because I learned this one key lesson. Don't focus on being busy, focus on being productive. And these 2 tips I'm about to jump into is going to help you radically boost your productivity. So let's get started with tip number 1. I mentioned this a couple times. I can't remember if I talked about it here or on Instagram or in my email or in past podcasts, but I think it's always something that is good to keep top of mind. Is tip number 1 is determine what your top 1, 2, 3 priorities are. So jumping into this, I encourage you to separate this within 2 different realms, 2 different worlds, 2 different buckets. So first off, you have your life bucket, and then you have your creative business bucket, your dream bucket, whatever this is, your side hustle. And within both of these buckets, determine what your top 1 to 3 priorities are within each of those. I usually keep around 3 in my life bucket, but within my business bucket or your business bucket, I would highly, highly, highly recommend focusing on like 1 thing per season. Specifically, if you're just starting off, trying to gain traction, doing this for your first time, taking the first steps of becoming a hobbyist to a side hustle, or you've been doing this for a while, you feel like you've been doing too much, you're plateauing and you're just not seeing progress, I want to really urge you to focus on 1 thing versus 2 versus 3. And with my students, they find a lot of success when we continually do less but better and funnel them to like 1 main thing during a season, because it's truly powerful when you go all in, devoting your full energy and attention to 1 thing for max traction. It's not about doing all the things. That's what I used to think it was about, but instead it's about doing only the things that matter most and going for depth, not width. Same thing when like trying to reach an audience and build your brand. Go for depth, go deeper with your current audience with 1 person at a time versus trying to like make something that the whole world will love, because it's impossible to get everybody to like you and your work. But instead of trying to focus on all the things and spreading yourself too thin and disguise busy work as productive tasks, that's where people get in trouble. That's where I get in trouble. That's where I burn myself out by focusing on too many things, spread myself too thin. And then I think that I'm doing productive tasks when really at the end of the day, I'm just doing busy work. And just know that when you're doing too many things as well, you can easily wear yourself down to that point of burnout. But more importantly, you have a hard time gauging if you're actually progressing in a measurable way. You're too busy, you're doing too many things. You may not feel like you're gaining enough traction, so you'll just stop what you're doing on to the next thing. Instead, if you just slow down, focus on one thing for a season, you can truly gauge like, all right, am I gaining traction? Can I be doing this X, Y, or Z better? What's working? What isn't working? But if you're doing too many things, you really lose sight of what could be working and gauging that progress. So slow down. And your area of focus, that one priority I want to encourage you to focus on can change. As you change, you're always going to evolve. Your interests are going to change. Your life circumstances are going to change. So a season is just subjective to you. Like, for example, a season for me, when I went all in on the podcast, I'm like, I'm going to pursue the podcast for a minimum of 2 years. And it like led to about 6 years. And now I'm pivoting and trying to figure out what's the next step so I can take the next evolution of what the podcast could be. So here's some quick examples. I talked about this a lot recently. I've talked about it in the keynote at Crop last week, talked about it in multiple places, but let me give you quick examples of what my life priorities look like during this season, and then what my business priorities look like, in case you haven't heard me say it before. But my life priorities, very simple. That is family, fitness, and finances. And I call my life priorities my core foundation. I got to get my core foundation locked in. Otherwise, it's like I was building a skyscraper, this shiny, sexy skyscraper to impress people, but it was built on quicksand. I didn't have my core foundation built, my life priorities. So again, that's family, my wife, my kiddos, clearly, my parents, my siblings, my close cousins, and just like a handful of select friends who I will bend over backwards for. They get my time first. Fitness, I grew up the chunky kid with bowl cut, glasses, braces, got really made fun of and picked on pretty hardcore. And I realize now, like, I have more confidence when I take care of myself. My business can't thrive. I can't thrive as a dad, as a husband, as a friend in my business, in my creativity, if I don't focus on self-care first. So fitness, wellness, self-care, all wrapped up in one. And then finances, financial literacy is a very big, important topic to me. Not only getting time freedom by building something on the side of your day job, pursuing your dream on the side and doing your thing full time, but also financial freedom, learning how to get yourself out of the debt or understand how to play the debt game, how to save properly for both life and business, get a rainy day fund expenses, and then invest in yourself, whether it's the traditional stock market game like Roth IRA, 401k, or even leveraging your HSA, or the traditional markets or the modern markets, what I'm a player in, more high risk, of course, but crypto, or I'm even dabbling in some speculative NFT game stuff right now. So, but I like to play both of those worlds and hedge my bets. So now my biz priority, once my non-negotiables with my core foundation, family, fitness, and finances, like all that is locked down. Those are my non-negotiables. Those always come first. Then I can go all in on my creative pursuits, which are my biz priorities. So to me, those three things that I'm focusing on during this season: coaching, and now I'll put like percentages in here. So coaching takes up about 50% of my bandwidth during this season, which is boot camps, coaching programs, boot camps like what I'll mention a little bit here in a little bit if you're interested and find value and want to go deeper with me on this. But boot camps, those are 3-week quarterly boot camps. My 12-week biannual fall and spring coaching programs. I have my one-on-one students, and then I have like my Discord, where I have like my alumni and my free private community, people that I work with there. So coaching 50%, I would call content creation through the form of video focus, probably 30% during this season. And that's like YouTube live streams, my Instagram streams, my short form video that I'll be working on and exploring more this summer, taking these larger videos, improving the quality of them, understanding basic editing so I can hire off someone, and then taking that macro video and turn it into short form micro videos. And then finally, that third priority would be my Web3 pursuits. As a collector, a creator of NFT arts, a crypto investor, and educator, and as well as coaching. I do some coaching within this space now, and I want this bucket to increase more over time and eventually become my main bucket. So I would consider this Web3 20% part like my actual side hustle. I'm a side hustle coach who does my thing full time in terms of coaching, but I still will always have a side hustle. I'm always building something on the side to hedge my bets, and pursue my interests and passions. But this again is like creating NFT and my crypto stuff. Like that's something I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm actually going to my first Web3 NFT NYC conference in June. So holler if you're going to be there. But why I have these priorities and these percentages, because during a season, my priorities may change and those percentages may change. Like April was insane. So the coaching priority bucket percentage actually went up more, with my side hustle Web3 bucket probably went down more. So that was a really, really crazy month. And they all ebb and flow based on my hectic work schedule, how much things I have going on. Maybe one week I'm not able to work on the lower bucket, but the coaching bucket, which pays the bills the most and provides the most impact, that gets the predominant part of my time. So I can't like go 100% in each one of these buckets. They ebb and flow, counterbalancing. And so far, if you're enjoying this and you're finding value, could you please consider like liking this video so more people can see it? Like the video if you like the video, and then just consider subscribing to the channel, because I'm going to do these weekly and start doing more videos as well over time. It really mean a lot to me. So tip number 1 was like dial in those 1 to 3 priorities, not only for your life, your core foundation, but also for your business, your creative dream. And let me know in the chat right now, the live chat, if you're finding some value. Just give me like a thumbs up if you're vibing to this. Next, tip number 2. Track your time. Once you have your priorities dialed in, we are going to track your time. Let me get a sip. Ooh, selfless plug here, Deneen Pottery. Woo, I made this a long time ago. Ooh, that caffeine hits good today. But tip number 2, track your time. And then I'll talk about ranking your time. That's like a doubled up extra benefit we can go deeper on, but I'll really go deep on this in the Side Hustlers Bootcamp coming up Q2. But tracking your time, this isn't sexy. I feel like what I do as a coach is focusing on all the sexy things people want to avoid. They just want to shill you and sell you all the external vanity metrics of like, ooh, how to get 10,000 followers in 10 days on your TikTok. I'm like, but they don't want to teach you the actual foundational stuff that'll help you actually grow and thrive and be sustainable with longevity, long-term, doing what you love. That's what I focus on. The non-sexy, non-glamorous, most important parts of your business if you want to do your thing full-time, long-term. But tracking your time, it's not sexy, but it's what I found to determine what's moving the needle forward in my creative business versus wasting my precious finite time. And when I talk about tracking your time, I'm talking about each project and each task along with how long you spent on it. So including bathroom breaks, your snacks, your lunches, your walk breaks. This is really, really important. And by tracking your time and your tasks all day for your side hustle, it's going to do a lot of things for you. So you're truly going to get an in-depth understanding of how you're productively spending or wasting your finite time. And so for me, I originally had to do this back at my corporate job. I worked a corporate job designing pump manufacturing things, making things look sexy, pumps and a lot of engineer jargon and turning that into visual based things through UI, UX, website design, branding, logos. It sucked. And I worked with a lot of bigger brands throughout the world, and I had to track my time. And it was really beneficial. It was a pain in the ass, but it was beneficial because 1, it allowed me to export reports and showing the brands I worked with how much time I was putting towards their main projects as well as their not so main projects. And then tracking my time allowed me to reveal less important tasks that were actually distractions, so we could trim the fat. So for example, like I was able to show these brands I worked with, like, why are we wasting so much time in terms of email communication when we could just have like a weekly 30-minute meeting or jump on a quick 5-minute call to discuss things, to kill a bunch of back and forth stuff? Or like, hey, this is like a very low important project, but yet you keep taking so much time towards it when we should be working on something bigger, the 80 projects that move the business forward. That'll help you hit your ROI and all that jargon for corporations. But then I started working for myself back in, this would have been January 2020 is when I went all in on myself and as a creative coach. And I felt like I was so busy at the beginning, but I didn't have much to show for myself in like that first January and February. And that's when it dawned on me. I was like, duh, I should stop doing all this guesswork on what to work on each day. Why am I guessing what to work on? I've been teaching people for years on how to reduce guesswork and get the most ROI out of your like finite time. So here's the 5 things that I realized I should be doing that I learned from my past day job. So number 1, I should be, when I first started doing my thing full time, I should be determining what my top biz priorities are. That's what I did for tip number 1. Tip number 2, I should be tracking my time. Tip number 3, we're not going to go deep into this today. I don't have enough time to talk about that, but you should be ranking your tasks. So as you track your time, your projects and tasks, you should be ranking these tasks from what's most important to what's least important. So you understand, like, why am I wasting time on this? Number 4, I should be building out processes, systems, and templates so I can be more efficient. And then number 5, I should be leveraging this information to optimize and scale my business. So after I collected all this data, I've been tracking my time for a couple of weeks, I can start pinpointing, like, why am I doing that? I should be simplifying this. This is definitely not an important task. This, I could build systems and processes and templates to repurpose, reuse, and hand off to delegate to hire help. I'm like, why am I not doing these things? And this became an absolute game changer for me when I started tracking my time and following these 5 steps. It helped me get my crap together and just be way more intentional, because I was still a dad, still doing house duties, and then COVID hit, pandemic. Maybe I should say C-19. I don't know if I should be talking about that. I heard algorithm can pick that up, but dialing in these, specifically tracking my time, it helped me double my previous day job salary. I was making like 61K as a senior UI UX designer. And in my first full year of self-employment, I grossed my first 6 figures. I doubled that. I made like 125 gross in 2020. My first year of self-employment, that was pretty wild. All of this really helped me like take myself more seriously, be more dialed in, and be a professional versus a hobbyist just winging it. I had a lot of pressure on my back. I had to take myself seriously. And in fact, during this season of my self-employment, I'm in year 3, and a lot of things have dramatically shifted in my business. And I'm like back starting from scratch at a lot of things again. And I'm literally doing all 5 steps above so I can reveal where I'm wasting my time in order to delegate or eliminate. So literally I'm tracking my time. I have this already in my Notion tracked for today of like, I'll be going for about 30 minutes there. So get your questions ready. We're winding down to the end, but I am tracking my time like every day like crazy. Again, I showed you earlier, I have my priorities dialed in for life and business. I'm literally doing what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching. I do it. I'm like super deep week 8 of a 12-week program with my spring students. And I'm literally showing them how I'm implementing all of this day by day. This wasn't just stuff I implemented as a side hustle. What I teach is evergreen. Every year you can come back to this. Every 6 months, you can come back to what we're teaching, edit, revise everything, and just like dial things in. You can always come back and revisit this stuff because you'll never have it all figured out. The world is changing at a rapid pace. So I always have to be on my toes and make sure I'm dialed in with what I'm doing. And when I'm not dialed in and I start guessing or I start winging it, I start like not planning my attack, I start letting my priorities, get off track and start taking on too much. I feel it. I feel it in my business. I burn myself out. I second guess everything I'm doing. I get myself into funks more, but when I'm more dialed in and I take control of what I can control, that puts me in a position to actually like see measurable progress and tap into some wicked gains. And I'll literally show you how I'm doing like all 5 of these steps. And I'll actually talk about the ranking part within the 3-week boot camp, which I'll talk about that here in a second if you're interested and if you want to go deeper. But I really feel like this is the kind of stuff that separates the hobbyists from the professionals. Even if you're just building this outside of your day job, this stuff is important. Stuff is super important. And again, the next steps to this that I wish I had more time to talk about would be ranking your task, whether it's an A, B, C, or a D task, what level of an A, what level of a B. But this is all I'll go over more. So overall, I hope you just walk away again with those 2 questions. I hope you walk away now today, like determining a little bit more of like, what are you focused on that's actually a distraction that's holding you back from gaining traction? And then what are you focused on that's moving you forward with your creative pursuits? So like, that'd be cool if you could tell me like in the chat, what are you doing that's a distraction during the season that shouldn't be a priority, that you're making a priority, but it's just disguised as busy work and not productivity. And then what do you focus on that's actually moving your creative business forward? So what's distracting you? And like, what's the one thing that you're doing that is actually like benefiting you the most? Let me know in the chat. I see something in the chat right now. I'll circle back around here with anything in the chat or any questions that you have. But in conclusion, overall, what I'm just trying to get across is like setting your priorities and then like tracking your time, every task that you're doing, every project that you're doing, and everything you're doing in between is going to help you build a more focused, intentional, productive system around the things that move your business forward. I just don't want you to waste your time guessing what you should be doing. That's precious, finite time you'll never get back. You can always make more money, but you can never get back your time. And why waste your time if your dream is to do your thing full time one day? Like, why waste your time not being intentional with what you do? So I just try to make high performing creatives who are very intentional about growing their business, doing the work they love that makes an impact on people they care about, doing it long term, sustainable. That's what I'm doing. That's not the sexy stuff, but that's the important stuff. So in conclusion, again, hope you found something helpful in terms of prioritizing for peak productivity. And if you happen to like still struggle to determine what drives your business forward in terms of biggest success, what moves it to get you the biggest gains, I want to recommend checking out the Q2 3-week Side Hustlers Bootcamp. This is focus, prioritization, and productivity-based live group coaching workshop. Enrollment is actually open today, and I'm actually have a way that you can win one of 5 sponsors scholarships that are sponsored by one of my students, Brad Stone King. So DM me if you like. Actually, let me pull up the link right now, and I'll toss it in the chat. And here first, you can learn more about it over here. I'll toss this in the chat, and then I'll drop the link in the live chat too. So there's where you can learn more about it. And then here is the link where you can fill out a form. You have less than 24 hours right now to fill this out to shoot your shot at winning one of 5 scholarships. So there is that form as well. Take you less than 5 minutes, and it gives you an opportunity to win a slot at this. And like these boot camps are game changers. And this one specifically, focus, prioritization, and productivity. It's designed. Give me 21 committed days, and I'm going to help you reduce guesswork, eliminate distraction, just become a productivity machine. And enrollment opens today. So officially open today. If you purchased a spot to the boot camp and you happen to win one of the scholarships, I'll just refund you your money. Totally cool. But in the meantime, yeah, those are the links right there. Otherwise, Bootcamp Side Hustle, if you're listening back to this. And yeah, if you're hearing this later on, Bootcamp Side Hustle will just take you back to the waitlist to join one of these quarterly boot camps. First days when I open up registration. So with that being said, I'll open this up for questions, or let me just jump into whatever comments there's are listed here. I think I can actually share my screen. All right. So Mark Pilardi asked, Scotty, is there an app that you like to use to help best track your time throughout the day? So there was an app, Toggle, I believe, is something my past students used. Me personally, let me show you quick how I'm doing this. I believe I can share my screen. I'm personally just doing it all within Notion. I am just funneling everything into Notion right now. Task list. Let me show you what I'm doing. Share screen. Window. Here we go. Ooh, first time I get to, this is why I chose YouTube right now. I get to actually share task list. So currently, like Wednesday right now, literally tracking all my time. So this morning, I know I got up early today just to make sure everything for the boot camp was ready to go. And I write down what steps I'm doing. Like these are all my A tasks. These are all very, very important stuff for me. These are things that are all high priority. Anything that gets an A is urgent. So there's a little bit of what I would talk about in ranking stuff. But yeah, like right here, 11 to, oh my God, that was about 11 to 11:30. I made an Instagram post today, which was important. So that would be 0.5. Wow, you guys are getting some alpha right now of me sharing some things. So yeah, YouTube Live. This is going to be a runabout for like 30 more minutes. And after I get done with this, I know it's going to take me about 15 minutes for all my post YouTube Live stuff. And then after this, I know my next task is to plan tomorrow's email. And then usually at like 9 o'clock, I plan my nightly attack. And then I'll total up my hours, just be like, okay, I worked X amount of time today. So I personally track everything within Notion. I find this is what works best for me. That's also where, my home project calendar, everything lives here as well. So this is all the stuff I'm going to be going super deep into actually in the boot camp. So you're just getting like a nice little preview of what the actual boot camp's going to be. So if you suck with your time management, your prioritization, not sure what to work on, there's a whole nother ball game that you could be playing right now to really take yourself seriously and put yourself in the best position to get the best results. Let's see. Larissa said, I love the opportunity Brad created. That's so awesome. Yeah, like super cool. Brad hit me up a couple weeks ago. It was like, hey, I'd like to sponsor 5 students worth with your new boot camp. I'm like, let's get it, dude. And then we put it all together. I should have did this last week, but I was traveling at Crop. So Jason Snell in the house. What's going on, dude? Snell got a chance to finally kick it with Jason, meet him in real life at Crop Cons, which was super dope. Man, I'm still pretty exhausted from Crop, to be completely honest. You can still hear it in my voice. But yeah, any other questions? I'll give it like another minute. Take a drink real quick. Mark says, wow, this is great, Scotty. Thank you. Absolutely. And I'm back on every Wednesday. I missed last week just so I could prep and focus on the conference. But I'm back on every Wednesday moving forward. I'll have a live YouTube live. So Larissa says, wow, that's so deliberate and thought out. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. If you say something's important to you, or you say your creative pursuits are important, but yet you wake up, you're not sure what to work on each day, you're winging it, you're guessing, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling plateau, like, why? You don't have to feel that way, but maybe you just don't know where to shart. Maybe you just don't know how to shart yourself. Maybe you just don't know how to start or like take very measurable steps on how to make this kind of stuff happen. So again, I dropped those links. Check it out. Enrollment, bootcamp, side hustle. It costs less than buying 200 McChickens. I make it super accessible, as well as like giving 5 spots away from this. This will be a game changer for you. So that's all I have for today. If there's no other questions, I'll wait 5 more seconds. But then I will dip out, 30 more seconds, and then I'll dip out. But also I got an Instagram live tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central Time. But moving Instagram lives to Thursdays just works better for me because my Mondays and Tuesdays are crazy with a bunch of coaching stuff. So it just frees up better. But I'll be going heavy into shiny object syndrome. Quit creeping on me, Siri. But I'll be diving deep into shiny object syndrome tomorrow and answering questions, just doing live coaching over on Instagram, 12 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. So have an incredible day. Thanks for vibing out with me. And if you are tuning back into this after the replay, just hit me up for that link to the Google form to fill out if you'd like to win one of those scholarships. I'll be announcing winners Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time. All right. Peace.